All right. So, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Doug, the Organic One, coming at you guys with a very special episode today. The Jump Off is honored to have our first guest. Today, we're not just celebrating an author, but a masterful world builder. He's also a founder and CEO of his own global design company, pioneering and shaping the future of storytelling. His vision fuses technology, art, and Afrocentric culture extraordinarily. Join us as we dive deep into the mind of the omni creative and explorer who brings diverse ideas and storylines together. I'd like to introduce you guys to the one and only Anwar Bey. And the
Hey,
crowd goes wild.
peace. Thank you. That's a cool intro. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you. So just a quick little background. We gave you your intro, but just give the people a little bit of background about yourself, like where you from, how you scattered all across the globe, and you just doing your thing is for your company and your I guess that's your baby right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Anwar Bey, and I am from California. I grew up in a small town called Colton, California, which is in San Bernardino County, just an hour east in the desert from LA. And so went to art school, studied video game art and design, um, and have been working in video games for almost 20 years. I worked at studios like Blizzard Entertainment, ZeniMax Online Studios, EA Games, Activision, uh, and more. And then in 2014, I founded Mind Traveler Design, which is a video game art studio, boutique. I started it in San Francisco. We specialized in video game character art. We went on to expand into full art development for all games of the assortment, from mobile to console to PC and so on. And then I started working on Plasma Worlds. The idea first came to mind uh, to develop a cool superhero character in 2013. That's when I started developing this idea around this Ethiopian space captain named Woldu. I'm jumping all over the place, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
currently I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. Um, I've been traveling around the world, all kinds of different countries on the continent of Africa, Asia, South America, even a bit of Europe. Most recently, I lived in South Africa, Johannesburg, for about 2.5 years. It was there that I completed my latest project, which is Plasma Worlds, the Book of Woldu. And then I moved here to New York, Brooklyn to publish the work, which I'm at the very tail end now. And so, yay, it's been a
Yes,
wild
sir.
journey, but
So,
that's how it is.
I know, when it comes to work, especially as intricate as this one, I know it's not your first idea. So, what were some of the ones that didn't quite make the final cut to where you felt like you wanted to invest to some of those other projects? And do you have like, other, ventures out there outside of Will Do, prior ones?
Um, you know, ever since I started working in games, I knew I wanted to create something that was, telling the stories of Black people, people of color in the world. And so a lot of the earlier kind of developments were, very conceptual, just ideation, just around kind of like who the characters could possibly be and how to like tell that story. And so I guess as far as iterations go, the whole development is very iterative. That's a part of like my design language and just the way that I develop ideas is like try something just to get visibility of like what's possible, and then that's what informs like the next steps. But it's been Wooldo since 2013. You know,
Okay.
when I
So
was
you
working
you
at
got
EA
that. So you
Games.
got
Yeah,
that first one. Usually it's like you got to try and try and try and then, but hey, once you strike gold, you strike gold because it's definitely a great series. So
yeah.
you definitely stuck with the right one. If it was the first one, it was the best one.
Mm.
So every great work carries a core message and driving a purpose in the viewer. So what's the why behind your creation and what motivates you to build these worlds and these stories?
Um, let's see. The motivation is, the lack of supply for what is very clear there's a big demand for. And that demand is, just more diversity in storytelling, more variety in characters that we're following, more perspective on just life, And so um, that's kind of like the basis of like the confidence that drives like the business of developing plasma worlds. And then, you know, just I meet people all over the world who, are living like beyond the constraints of what media tells us is possible. I meet people all over the world that are thriving, that are, providing for their families in amazing ways, that are living amazing lifestyles in places like countries in Africa and Asia and South America where, we're kind of like led to believe the Western audience, the Western perspective is that those places are lacking, but in reality, there's many, 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 many stories and families and people that are thriving, and so I just think it's important to create work to connect with the people
Right.
and to connect the people to stories of limitless possibility.
Right. Because you're like your perspective is very unique, especially as a black man. And it's like, creating black works. So it's like, a lot of those things aren't really connected to our community. So we don't really get to like see and like, your vision could be the start of somebody else's. So it's like people don't get to like get that engagement and vision themselves in that light. So it's not like, common. And I like that, it's kind of well, it's very tech forward. So I
Mm.
like that, and it's cartoon storytelling. So it's like, it's good for all genres and ages. So it's like, you can start that in a kid and then they can see it and they can have that same vision and carry it 30 years beyond where you started from. So it's like I appreciate that aspect of it because it's something that we need, especially in these times where we're having this huge transitional period where it's like everything's going towards the tech. So it's like, with you giving us all these like advanced technological designs, it's like, visual arts is more than just like storytelling. Somebody could be an engineer and an architect and then design buildings based off of, a concept that you've put out and things of
Mm.
that nature. So I think it's like, something that's real beneficial. And I definitely appreciate that coming from you that you make sure you insert, the Afrocentricness into your works because it's easy to fall into the status quo because it's niche right now, but we know the culture is dependent on what we create. So
Mm.
as far as like, building and having that image, I think it's a huge building block for us to like have and build on. So I'm definitely looking forward to you pushing this out like more and more and getting way widespread because I'm already pushing it to my nieces. Like they need to know like everything that's going on with this, and I'm definitely gonna get that book for them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also, you can tell them where they can get the book. Go ahead and drop that plug now.
Yeah,
We gonna
yeah,
drop
for
that a few
sure, for
times.
sure. Please, please go and check out plasmaworlds.com. That's plural, Plasma Worlds. And that's where you can find out all about the book project. You can order it on the website. And yeah, that's the hub of sharing the detailed information. Yeah, Plasma Worlds, Book of Woldu is not just a novel. It's an illustrated book. It's a space odyssey centered around Ethiopian family named Woldu, who are just going through, some really intense circumstances. The father, who we call Captain Woldu, is a space captain who is lost on an alien planet, and he's fighting, aliens, trying to survive. He's trying to survive to get back to his wife and daughter. Meanwhile, back on Earth in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the wife and daughter are putting together a plan to try and find and save him.
Mm,
And so that's like the basis of the story. And then it's just a grand, sprawling space odyssey that goes from there, where,
right.
it's the Book of Woldu, but it's also Plasma Worlds. Uh, Plasma Worlds is a story world that encompasses many stories about, people of Africa and Africa diaspora. It involves robots, it involves space travel, it involves, high tech systems and artificial intelligence, and just like future world perspective that is based, on what we're experiencing now, just expanded into the future. And the kind of like the year that I tend to kind of like orient and orbit around is the year 2086.
Right. So I wrote a question about that, but and I was like 2086 seems like an intricate and like very specific number. So what's the I guess the association with 86? Is it like your birth year? Like what's the
I like the way it looks. I like the way 2086 looks. I also feel like it's not too far, but it's also not too close.
right,
Like it's a year that I believe you and I will be able to experience. And it's a year that definitely, our children, inshallah, will be able to experience, and so on. And so it's a year that like my brain could easily access ideation around, and with the way that technology is moving and the goals that are very clear that technology is supporting, space travel, robotic and artificial systems. It just made it
got
easy
you.
to kind of
So I
like
get it. So it's like basically what I was saying, like basically the passing of the torch, like the end of your lifespan could be where the next generation picks up at, and it like carries over to like, whatever they can imagine. With a start like this, it's like no telling what their 30 looks like for us. So it's like, but I say it's a great building block. But
yeah.
yeah. So game designer. So we gonna get it. Look, I don't know if you want to get into the
Yeah,
concepts or
of
what,
course.
but
Let's go.
so as far as
Let me close this window.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So
All right.
with the AR and VR space, um are you thinking in that realm as far as like the gaming design, or are you going just like regular console as far as like designing the games?
Listen,
Huh?
definitely, I'm just gonna be completely honest. Like, in 2017, my team and I put together a prototype virtual reality Plasma Worlds project, and it was a 5 minute experience where you are seeing you're seeing through the eyes of Captain Woldu at the planet of Quonsetta that he is stranded on, and you're like fighting some aliens. The concept was very straightforward, kind of like Duck Hunt for Mario Brothers is what I was considering it, like an introduction to the world. And we did it on virtual reality. We did it on Gear VR, which is like mobile phone based virtual reality. And it was fun to develop it, but personally, I wasn't interested in developing anything else, for virtual reality. Like, I don't like the that space of, I don't like having this thing over my eyes, especially based on where the development was then.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's not really how I'm envisioning. The latest kind of like virtual AR experience that I had was with Apple's, I think it's called Vision Pro.
Mm.
I went to experience like the weekend's visceral experience within that, and it was definitely better. And that was 2024 or 2025, maybe it was 2025. I don't know, but it was definitely an expansion of the technology, and it was definitely better. But I just don't imagine that the human experience, like on a mass level, is ever really going to be interested in leaving kind of like experiences that you can have in reality and then to put like a headset over their head, right? To like enter this virtual world like Ready Player One.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that I, I think that it's becoming clear that that's not something that's really taking traction. And so for me personally, what I want to see from Plasma Worlds in the future is I'm pretty open, and what I mean by that is like, I would want to design a gaming experience that's really fun first,
Right.
fun first. Like, you're in this world and you're able to do cool things and you're able to interact with people in the form of like going on a mission together or being competitive against one another. Um, but I'm pretty open. The thing about Plasma Worlds is that it's a platform intellectual property, which means that like it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like
Right.
Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, where it's like really the story world is what connects to the people, and it engages the mind to start to dream up, different scenarios of what's possible within that world. And so, when you think of like, let's say Lord of the Rings, for instance, like there's so many different game concepts that have launched around that. There's so many books and TV series and cartoons and movies and just toys, the whole array. Because as a business tool, it enables people to be inspired and then come and license and then create what they think is like a cool project. And that's what Plasma Worlds is all about.
Right.
So I just want to see and experience cool games, you
Yeah,
know.
okay, I get you. So it's not about, the delivery. It's not about, like the visual delivery per se, but you want to deliver the game and the story for the people to enjoy. But I get it because I'm surprised as well that VR hasn't gained as much traction as I thought it would. But yeah, a lot of people, even with like a lot of the things like headsets I haven't seen, but in like me putting one on, like that claustrophobia can get to you as well. So I definitely understand it's an adjustment period that needs to be, had. But the future of what predictive programming, we see it all the time. So I'm not ruling it out, but I'm
when,
not
when
I'm not personally into it myself. But I just think
yeah,
like
when VR
like
gets to the point where it's, something like you put on your glasses and then now you're in virtual reality, sure. Then the whole world will be open to that. And even more if it's even more non-abrasive and physical as like glasses. If you can just like, do this, and then now there's like a floating kind of like experience, over your visibility, but at the same time you have the option or the simultaneous experience of being able to see what's around you as much as you need. Maybe we will have something there, but it's like in technology in San Francisco, where I lived for over 10 years, like I remember when Google Glasses was a thing, and we were all testing that and trying that and experiencing that, and then seeing that not really necessarily become mass appeal. And then virtual reality came after that, and then it was like it's just I don't know,
Yeah,
dude.
I get
I
you.
have all
But
these
yeah,
theories.
I actually got that on my list to check out. I just seen Mark Zuckerberg release the latest version of the AR glasses.
The
So I gotta
Ray-Bans.
check those. I haven't gotten like deep into like the specs of it, but I'm definitely looking forward to checking those out. But definitely. But
Yeah.
so back to Voodoo in the great world of quintessence. Is that
Quansetta.
Quincetta?
Quansetta. Different people say it in different accents, but it's
Go
cute.
ahead, go ahead. But break out one of the accents for us. Look.
Well, I don't have all the accents. I say Quansetta, but I've heard different people who have different accents like say it in different ways, you know.
All right. So we go get out the metaverse and
Buy my verse.
right. Look. So if you could envision like 10 years down the line, are you looking because you're at the tail end of this project, are you like pre-planning or are you just focused on knocking this one out and pushing it for the next one, or are you like building more worlds and adventures to come?
Yeah, I'd say it's a mix of things. I'm definitely completely all in, centered and focused on, introducing this project to the world. I recognize that I'm at that final step where it's like been developing this thing for over a decade, been full time on it since 2020, and then now I finally get to share it with the world. Where there's a difference between, development and me knowing what the story is and what all the visuals are and how it all comes together, and then giving it to people and letting them experience and start to converse around what it is from their perspective. So that's my focus, completely. In addition to that, what I did end up creating was a trilogy.
Hmm.
So the book is definitely a trilogy. There's definitely a book two coming out, soon enough, and then a book three soon enough. And that story is written. Those visuals are created. My art team and we've been working on this thing for 5 years, and it really is marvelous. It's a cinematic experience.
Definitely immersive. Even just from like, the 2D experience, very immersive, like very captivating, like from the narration to like, the imagery. It's just very intricate. And it's like you really got like almost like where's Waldo, just like marvel at every individual like feature of per
Mhm.
frame. Like I thoroughly enjoy, like the YouTube videos that I have seen. And it's like it's so intricate and just so us. I love it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just a whole new experience, honestly, compared to like, a lot of the media that we are getting surrounding futurism. And for the people who don't know the term, because I recently learned it through Mr. Bay, is Afrofuturism. So definitely if you want to be in the realm, in the perspective of the great beyond of 2086, definitely get familiar with the term Afrofuturism.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and a lot of the world of plasma worlds is definitely inspired by my travels on the continent of Africa, right? It's like when I'm in Dar es Salaam, like I'm surrounded by thousands, if not millions of people, like at every moment. There's people when I'm catching the boat from Dar es Salaam to Zanzibar. like there's people everywhere. There's taxi drivers trying to get your attention. There's people selling tickets. There's people moving luggage. There's people trying to move your luggage. There's people wanting to help you at every moment. Like it's all happening at the same time. And, it's moments like that that I fuse all throughout the work of Plasma Worlds in the Book of Woldu, where I'm really aiming to immerse the reader in an experience that moves like an amusement park ride at Disneyland or something, but through the literature and through the visuals, like coming together as one.
I'm
And
glad you
so
said
it
that
makes me
because
happy to hear that you see and feel that in what you've experienced so far.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people they're have a skewed image of Africa, and it's like the continent is vast and ranging in as far as like classes and like and people think it's all just safari and like negative experiences, but that like pushes people also like you need to get out there and see for yourself. Like this is like something that we've been like fed a false reality of, and like we need to get out there and definitely travel the continent of Africa because look at the inspiration that comes from it. When you guys see what Wooldo is, and just your first glance, you'll be like, "Oh, Africa inspired." Like it's definitely going to be a shocking experience for you, and hopefully it encourages you to check out the continent of Africa in your travels as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely. And I did want to mention that, like, I do want this work to be, a movie and a TV series and stuff like that. And so with this book, I've done my best to communicate that through the work, that it's 100% transferable into, live action and animated series.
so since you say movies, you got any directors in mind? Is it something you want to self-direct? You want to digitally direct? You want to how you thinking? What's the perspective concept? What we talking? How you want to do it?
I really want to be a partner in every project that Plasma Worlds takes part in, right? So I want to have a good relationship with the directors and the producers that I'm working with, uh, just to make sure it has that feeling of Africa, of people like us and how we move in spaces that we feel safe and connected to on a community level. So, you know, in addition to that, I recognize and I've been learning over the years how this business works, right? And so I have respect for that too. And so, inshallah, God willing, I'm able to partner with people that share the vision genuinely and want to activate people around the world, everybody, in new ways, that are true to the work.
Absolutely. Well, I could definitely see this being picked up. Like it's you're in the class in the lane of your own right now, to say the least. So if any directors are a good director, they're looking for individualism and creativity, and this has a limit. It is like capless on like outer space, like Africa. Like that's something that's an untapped pool as well. So that is ultimate as far as like people have been creating their own movies over there in Africa, and or the Nollywood movies are a class of their own. So
Nigeria, yeah.
plenty of untapped potential there as far as directors. If you can get some of them into your world class studio, and then you guys can build that way, or somebody else comes and partners up with you, it'll be a great work either way it goes because the story is the story.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, it's
So
exciting. I recently went to a book fair called Printed Matters in New York and at MoMA PS1 in Queens. And I was meeting all these different independent publishers, big, small, and I was talking to them about Plasma Worlds and the direction that I've created with it. And it was a lot of respect and a lot of like excitement, right? Because it's like, even they recognize no matter where they're from, whether it's like, you know, European countries, American cities and states, places in Africa and Asia, like everyone understands that like the this kind of work is needed, and we want that like big time. Yeah.
It's a break from the norm of what, the typecasted roles are, but it's like it really pushes, the the intellectualness as far as like, the narration and like, the content. So I definitely appreciate that. And I know a lot of people can, you know, just like get lost in like the things that the possibilities of it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Mm.
is with you being like you're a high level creator in, many facets.
Mm.
So what are like, some advice you can give to like, aspiring creators that are upcoming who will be, tapping into, this interview here and like, eventually moving into, the completion of the Will Do series and the projects that come with it. What is something that you can, inspire them with as far as like, going forward in their creative journeys?
Yeah. Be limitless in your goals and in your uh, access to your imagination. Be limitless in your curiosity, your interest to learn and experience more. Um, be iterative in your design process, which really eliminates ideas around failure, and it makes the whole experience an adventure, a journey, because that's essentially what it is. And this world, this universe is infinite in variability. And so everything that we think is in the present moment is expanded beyond anything that we can think of actually. So nothing is only as it seems, it only is what it can be. And in order for it to be what it can be, we have to go out and talk and experience and see and try and share and deliver and just show up to the best of our ability. And more than anything, have fun.
Absolutely.
Design the experience to be as fun and fresh and interesting as possible. Yeah, for sure. The things that I've seen so far, man, I could write books for the rest of my life. I can create visual experiences for the rest of my life because it's just so wild, so far outside of what we're told it is or it can be. And it really is like everything.
So absolutely. And as far as like, pushing the book and the publishing, you saying you're on the cusp of that. You have any partners that you working with specifically that you shouting out, or is this self-published? How you doing it?
It's self-published. This
Oh
whole
man.
project is 100% independent, budget independent development. And so because of that, it is very, very, very much the best of what I could create, based on my years of experience in video games, based on my artistry, based on my travels, like all that culmination of knowledge and just experience like went into this work. And it wasn't, you know, uh, it wasn't mangled in any way. It
I'm about to
wasn't
say
guided
watered
off
down.
course.
It's all you for the
It
most
wasn't
part.
guided off course, right? It's just me working with my team to create visuals, writing these stories, working with editors to get more perspective and kind of like fill in holes that I might have. But I was very, very, very patient and very careful with the creation of this magnum opus, this first work because as long as I know that it's uncompromised, right? That's the word I'm looking for. Then I know that like the business that I can do with it is undeniable. And I can talk to anything that anyone's thinking or might want to question or challenge, with pure confidence. And
Cause it's
so,
all you.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great to do it like fully and like on your own. You don't have to worry about, well, I can't really release, but so I love that it also
yeah.
is. So all you aspiring creators, this is a hub right here. So
Let me show you.
definitely,
Let me show you the book cover, just
I'll
so you
go
can kind of
ahead.
see what I've accomplished.
We getting
So
a special release.
here is like one of the physical samples that I received from the printer. So this is just the book cover. It's just a sample, so there's no interior pages. But as you see, this is the front cover, and then this is the back of the
Ooh.
cover. And can you see like the effects that are taking
Yep.
place, right? Like the idea behind this cover was for it to serve as like a teleportation device, like a you know it's supposed to remind us of who we are in the grand universe, and that is that we're in space right now. And so this cover is giving outer space, like the stars are existing on multiple planes, where you have like the reflective stars, and then you have
Matt.
the the other kind of like transparent reflective stars, so that it feels like they're behind and in front. And then you also have like the deboss, which is like
The texture
the,
to the 2D surface. So I get you. So I feel your creativity coming through. Like in so many ways you put a lot of, texture to it,
yeah.
creativeness towards it. So and
And
a
this
lot
is
of
12
thought.
by 9. And this is 12 by 9, which is not a common dimension, right? But because these are cinematic illustrations in the book, I wanted to make sure that I could give that full panoramic landscape. So it's 12 by 9, and it opens to 24-inch wide landscape,
Okay.
illustrated visuals. And so that's because it's independent.
A
I remember,
literary movie.
yeah, I was talking to somebody's publisher at one point. We were just kind of shooting around and just conversing, and then they were like talking about how it needs to be like this, like how the other books are, and it needs to be set up like how the other books are set up. And I'm like, why are you talking to me like this? Like,
Right.
this is
Look,
more than just a book. This is a whole experience.
right. That's why
Yeah,
I say you in a class of your own. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a literary movie. That's what you create. If you say it's spanning the whole 2 pages, so that's definitely, a visual, especially with the ones that you are producing and with texture. So like just the thought that you're having to layer the images is like mind-boggling. So y'all definitely go out and get this work when it is completed. We dealing with a media giant right here. Y'all heard the credentials. This is not a regular, oh, I just wrote a book. This is a whole nother experience. So definitely tap into Mr. Anwar Bey.
appreciate y'all.
So we got in that look. We gonna get into your mind as far as the creative and the engineer. So like with a lot of the things that are going on and like out in the world as far as like creative projects that are on the TV and whatnot. What do you like more so getting into is like what genres are you into?
Man, I'd be searching through the media for, my favorite word when it comes to entertainment media is cinematic. And so I'm always searching